This is my best Burl Ives voice, so don't judge me. But come with me, okay? You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen,
Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen.
But do you recall
The most famous reindeer of all, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glowed like a light bulb. But the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. We never let poor Rudolph join in reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, ho, 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 Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, yippee! Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history.
KA. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
There's a point in this. You guys can sit down. So, Rudolph was a little bit different, huh? Right?
Yep.
Anybody with me on this? You know, it's really funny, when we had the meeting about today, I was told, I asked at the meeting, I said, well, what's my topic? Like, what am I talking about? And Kylie says, just do what you do. And I was like, okay, like, that's weird. She didn't give me any boundaries or directions. Like, so, of course, me then starting to overthink it last night was like, I don't even know what I'm going to talk on. I don't know what I'm going to talk on, right? So then this morning, still not knowing what I was going to talk about, I was standing in my dining room, and Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer came on the radio, and I was like, God, I hate Christmas music. Is it over yet? And I'm like looking around, and I don't know how many of you saw my Facebook post last night, but I got a bunch of flowers, very pretty flowers, and they were from my ex-husband, okay? Really weird, right? So I'm listening to Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, and I'm staring at these flowers, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Because what happened last night is my ex-husband went out of his comfort zone and gave me flowers, and that could have turned out really bad, right? Could have been awkward. I could have, made it really bad, but I want to share something with you guys. Because the conversation after he left, he just dropped them off. So the conversation after he left went like this. He said, I'm not assuming anything. That was like the first text that he sent me after he left, okay? And I responded and I said, that was possibly the nicest thing you've ever done for me. Thank you. He said, you're more than welcome. I'm just glad you didn't throw them at me. And my response was, why would I do that? And he said, because I wasn't asked to you most of the time. I said, well, that was in the past. I'm thankful that we are able to co-parent from 2 different households and raise our son together despite our differences. Thank you, Kevin, seriously. Okay, you guys, perspective is so important, right? Think about Rudolph and Santa. Rudolph could have went and hid in the corner. Santa could have been so focused on the fog that he wouldn't have seen that Rudolph's nose was the guiding light, right? Rudolph could have been hiding or put snow on his nose or whatever so that nobody could notice that. If you think about things in your world, how a little tiny bit of perspective can change so much about the meaning of everything. I think that last night was a really big night for me in the perspective aspect. I went and had a beer with a couple of my friends, okay? One of my friends brought a friend, and he wasn't, like, not even kidding you. He was so mean, and every time I would say something, he was like, just snarky, like smart remarks, like super, and I was like, dude, what is your problem, right? So I could have done two things. I could have been like, that guy is a jerk, and I could have been a jerk right back to him. But last night, for the first time, I made a different choice. I said, dude, what's going on with you? Like, why do I make you feel so vulnerable that you have to feel like you have to be mean to me? What's the insecurity coming from? Where's the anger coming from? And he like broke down and started crying right in front of me, and he was like, I'm living in a state that I hate for, 200 and whatever the math is, days a year. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, because 90 of those days I get to see my child. And I was like, oh, okay, so he's got a little bit of women issues, like a little bit bitter, right? He went on to say, my son was 3 years old before I got to tuck him into bed for the first time and tell him goodnight. And at that moment, like, my heart just broke. You guys, I could have been a total jerk and taken his mean words and just like rolled with it. Trust me, like, I can be pretty snatchy when I'm upset, especially if I get defensive. Like, I can fire right back. But I took 5 minutes to find out what was going on with him and what was making him vulnerable and what was making him feel like he needed to be defensive around me. I want you to think about that, not only in your business, in your personal life. If you have weight problems, I know that a lot of you have seen some pictures going around about me on Facebook. True. But aside from that, you guys, when I very first started losing weight, I was not focused on having to lose 60 or 80 pounds. I just was focused on making small changes, like I knew that I wanted to lose weight, but I didn't focus on that big giant number. It wasn't honestly until a year later that I went back and looked at a picture from, Facebook popped up and said, your memories from 1 year ago, and I was like, holy jeez, I was that big. Like, I didn't even notice how much of everything in my life had changed, but my perspective wasn't so buried in the fog that I couldn't see Rudolph's nose. Do you see that? If you are so stuck and you're like, I can't enroll a loyal customer, or nobody's liking my posts, or I can't, nobody will join my team. Is your head buried in the fog? Are you notice what's going on around you? There could be a new distributor sitting in your lap, and you guys are too busy being focused on not being able to enroll one that you don't see it. Does that make sense? Perspective is so important. Okay, so along with that, I believe that there are 3 characters that we can play in life, right? All of the children laughing, right? Santa, or Rudolph, okay? So, out of those 3 people, if you want to be all the children laughing, raise your hand. Nobody wants to be the children laughing? Ashton. If you want to be Rudolph, raise your hand.
I want to be him, or I am. We are them.
You are what you speak, though.
I can be Santa.
You Rudolph? Okay. Who wants to be Santa?
Ho, ho, ho.
Only if I don't go to work costume.
Right? Okay. I'm going to choose to be Santa in my business, and I'll tell you why. Santa was never focused on being angry about how foggy it was. Santa was never complaining about the fog. When Santa noticed all of the fog, what did he do? He started looking for the solution. You guys, the longer you focus on the problem, the longer you focus on what's going wrong, the longer it's going to take you to find the solution. Yes, it is important to see that it's foggy outside. Yes, it is important to see that all of the children are laughing. Like, Santa could have gone along with the gang and laughed at Rudolph too, couldn't he have? But he chose to make a stand and stand up for what he believed in, which, you guys, this world is so buried in the fog, it is ridiculous. It is so buried in the fog that some random guy that's a mutual friend, that we have mutual friends, automatically thought that I was mean and harsh and I was going to hurt him, and so he threw his walls up and started lashing out at me, and all I said was hi. Right? This world is so dark and foggy. If you choose to see bright lights, you will find distributors. Because every distributor that I've enrolled has been a Rudolph. A little bit different, but they have a light that shines so bright, right? So, think about that. Be Santa and have a Merry Christmas.